It is lights out and away we go. Hello, racers. Welcome to episode 27 of the Hard or Soft F1 podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Huff, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, RJ McCullough. But we've got some breaking news, everybody. Ferrari have done it. They've done it once again. Have they won another race? No. Have they made a good strategy call? No, they have not. No, they've done the unthinkable. They've stooped to a new low, and they've unveiled what is quite possibly the most disappointing livery of all time. They gave us the yellow race suits, then the black ones, but then they gave us their regular car with a yellow sticker on it.
They did.
So, it's honestly, it tracks, but it's disappointing.
It looks more like a McDonald's advertisement than
it does.
We were both a little excited for a new livery, and that excitement dropped very quickly.
Yeah, people were thinking like a yellow car, maybe even a black car, because they posted that picture with them in the black racing suits. So it's just like, honestly, we were the foolish ones to think that Ferrari would do anything remotely above like standard, I guess. That's not even standard. It's below standard. It's just a sticker.
Now we get to wait for them to follow it up by, no, that's exactly the reaction we wanted. We meant for that. We wanted to go viral.
They need to drum up some more
God.
PR. Jesus. But yes,
an absolute joke.
So what is going on?
Oh, man. Another win for Max, but it was actually a pretty good race, all things said. You know, there's a lot of people saying going into it that Max was just going to run away with it like he did at Spa, and it was going to be a really boring race. But he's receiving a lot of praise online for winning ugly. So, it was nice. But winning ugly, Max Verstappen winning ugly, sounds like a good title for his first book. Kind of blew that one, but I had to go for it.
That's a good way to describe last year's Abu Dhabi, honestly.
It's also a good way to describe his ugly face.
I just picture that meme of Max's face with just like the square is just his face. Oh my God. Yes, right. Max, since Max has won, you're doing once again another punishment, and I thought it would be fitting for you to go with more yellow than Ferrari did. So yeah.
Yeah, this is a new one for me. It's a tropical artificially flavored, might I mind you, tropical yellow edition Red Bull. And this was purchased about 6 minutes ago, so it's still ice cold, so this is nice. not gonna be fun. But there we go. Thanks, Max. Thanks, George.
I wonder, by the amount of Max wins, how the amount of Red Bulls that you have consumed and will consume, how much like time it's taking off of your heart. I feel terrible. But you crushed that one. That might be your record. My voice cracked there. That might be your record there.
It was actually tasted better than I thought. It was kind of like a mango orange juice or something.
Oh,
but
nice.
The cold got to me. The first one I kind of struggled near the end.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut together like a montage, like with like Rocky music of all these Red Bull chugs I've had to do. Fucking Max Verstappen.
Oh yeah, at the end of the season.
Yeah.
You've done at least like, because
all but one, right?
Yeah, all but one, pretty much. Jesus.
Yeah, what a guy.
But yes, Max, he took the W in Zandvoort in the Netherlands. I said to you at the start that I thought it was going to be a boring race, or that it was potential for a super boring race, but I think Mercedes really turned the heat up and they made things extremely interesting. I'm going to give full props to Merc this weekend for making it a fun race to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have to make some comments on that, but I just want to try that one punchline again. Max Verstappen winning ugly sounds like a good title for his first book. All right. Anyways.
You got to put the laugh track in for the second time.
Yeah. It's always good when you have to try again. Okay, so Mercedes, in hindsight, I guess at the end of the day, I'm glad I've had a few days to kind of think on it. But here's what I think should have happened: is what the right thing to do would have been to tell Lewis and George both to box, to switch to softs, and then have George kind of back up the field a little bit. But instead, they let Lewis keep going on mediums, I think. Mediums, maybe hards. Mediums, yeah. And George, at the last second, decides not only to not slow down, but speed up right behind Latifi and pit and go onto softs, leaving Lewis completely exposed. So, I mean, did he cost Lewis a win? Likely not. Like, probably Max would have caught. But if George would have just played the team role and done what they were trying to do, what the strategy was, then Lewis at least would have had a chance, and they could have got a 2-3. Instead, they got a 2-4, and yeah, it makes George look good. It gets George points, but he screwed over Lewis, and I was not happy. I was very pissed for quite a while. George was not in my good books, and I'm still a little upset because after all Lewis has done for Mercedes, and by all accounts, he's been a really good teammate for George, and George just had to take over the team there. He still could have finished third or fourth. Very disappointed. But yeah, of course, Lewis had no chance, just like last year in Abu Dhabi. Every time there's a restart, it seems like Max is right behind Lewis, and it's just deadly for Lewis. So, yeah, very frustrating as a Mercedes fan. One of the more frustrating times, because it did, like, without that safety car, and we can get into that too, but without that safety car, there was a chance that Lewis was going to win. So, like, a good chance.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely, without a doubt. The George thing is it's sort of an interesting play because, I mean, it's possible that I don't see Charles passing both of the Mercedes if George had, I mean, Max potentially could have passed both of them, but like you said, a 2-3 or even getting the exact same result, but a reverse 2-4 was possible. But yeah, I mean, he acted, in self-interest over, Lewis's best interest, but it sucks because I think Lewis, he's bad about on restarts hitting the wrong button because he said he was in the wrong engine mode at the race restart.
Okay.
So which is why Max just flew past him without DRS on literally the first turn. But yeah, it's, I mean, it's
and new softs versus old mediums.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he had no barriers. And I dude, every time they show that lap cars may overtake safety car, I just am like, I literally facepalm. I'm like, oh my God. But I was losing my shit because the whole Yuki situation, I don't know if you have that docked to talk about. Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah, we can get into it right now. Get into it.
Yeah, we can. So yeah, that was
definitely needs to be discussed.
For sure. What the whole Yuki thing, and then being like, oh my God, it favored Red Bull so much. But I just laughed so hard when his car came to a stop. I was like, Bottas is coming in clutch for Lewis. He's like, fuck that. We got to give you a shot, bro. I was losing. I was like, oh, it was just so funny how two different DNFs like swayed the advantage. It was just so fucking crazy. But yeah, the Yuki thing, that was it's caused a lot of toxic behavior online, but it's also caused a lot of conspiracy theories. I think we've sort of formulated what we think happened, but do you kind of want to run through what exactly happened?
Yeah, so I don't remember the exact laps. Basically, he went in for a pit stop, went to replace the tire. He came out of the pits, thought there was an issue with the tire being loose, so he kind of pulled over. They told him, nope, the car, there is no issue. So he went back on track, but then only to end up stopping on track
immediately.
And yeah, this obviously gave a big advantage to Red Bull and Max. But yeah, there was like a lot of, especially from, to be honest, a lot of Lewis Hamilton fans, like saying that it was Red Bull giving the message to AlphaTauri to tell Yuki to stop so that they could get a safety car so Max could win at his home race. And then there's a picture of the Red Bull strategist girl, Hannah something, I believe her name is. And people are like, oh, look, she's smiling. That's an indication. Like, okay, come on. Anyone that thinks that Max is winning the championship by like 100 points, they're not going to risk throwing away the entire title, getting suspended for the year for a couple extra points. Like, it's ridiculous that people were saying that. But it was honestly a thing going around. People were finding like clips, like 5-second clips from Yuki's like radios and being like, look, they did it on purpose. It's ridiculous. But as far as I remember, that's what happened. It benefited Max, and Lewis has had some bad luck this year, but like, that's the way it goes. It happens. When Lewis was winning, I think his 6th title, he had a huge, maybe his 7th, he had a huge break with similar thing happening at Imola, where he got the advantage. So like
Mhm.
it happens.
Right.
But yeah, or maybe that was even last year. But anyway, so it happens both ways. It happens to everyone. So
I think the whole like smiling thing, that's definitely the biggest piece of evidence. I'm like, if I was the Red Bull strategist and that happened, I would be smiling too because
exactly.
it benefited Max. It's like that doesn't mean you orchestrated it. It just means he's like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. He's gonna fucking win this race too.
Yeah, like I would smile as like you're probably smiling watching it. Like,
yeah,
oh,
exactly.
like I would be smiling if it happened to Lewis. Yeah, it's stupid.
I gave major props to Yuki like for bringing it in because he was having issues. I was like, God damn, okay, he's actually able to bring the car into the pits. But then the whole seatbelt debacle happened, which that's a conspiracy in itself. Like the whole Red Bull orchestration thing is total bullshit. But the whole seatbelt thing felt like just like a distraction. Like they switched the tires, but then.
So do you want to go into that just because I forgot to explain that part.
No, yeah, Yuki originally said on the radio that a tire was loose. I forget which one he said. It was I think the front right. I have no idea, or front left. I have no idea. They didn't put the tire on all the way correctly, I don't think. And he said something was wrong. I don't know if that was the truth and what was wrong, but something was wrong. And they brought him back in, and then they switched the tires, and then two of the engineers are like fidgeting down in, I don't know what you call it, the cockpit or whatever, where the drivers sit, and they're like tugging on the seat belts and doing all sorts of nonsense. And then they send him back out, and then he immediately has problems again. And it's like, which that does contribute to the whole big conspiracy theory that that just adds to the chaos. But I think, which is another opinion of the internet, that they were just trying to distract from their own fuck ups. It was just AlphaTauri trying to cover AlphaTauri.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then he immediately went out and then he pulled off. And honestly, as soon as he pulled off, I was like, that is such a fucking danger. It's right over the hill on a straight. It's like, dude, and there's like literally a car's length of space on the side of the track. It's like super dangerous. I was like, well, there's a fucking safety car. Exactly what he avoided the first time, but then they fucked it up. So it was
he like loosened his.
shit show.
I think he's getting like a 10-spot grid penalty next race for loosening his seatbelt. So that again is like he thought he was out of the race, so he loosened his seatbelt probably, but it wasn't like off. No one in the right mind is gonna drive around Zandvoort with no seatbelt. That'd be like insane. But
that's horrifying.
That's like I guess he thought, okay, this car's done. Loosened his seatbelt. They went back in, but then they were like tugging on his seatbelt and stuff too. So you think they were? I would have thought they were tightening it,
trying to tighten.
There is a lot of like kind of weird things that lend to this conspiracy theory, but like it's just when you actually take a step back, it's like none of it would make sense for them to actually do that. Like
no, there was just them fucking up.
Yeah, they just fucked up, which happens a lot in F1. So
now I'm thinking about
speaking of
how horrifying it would be to drive an F1 car without seatbelts. But go ahead.
Especially Zandvoort, like those
oh my god,
mountains. But yeah, speaking of fucking up, we had the banking. Holy shit. I got on that topic. The camera angles they had this week were really good of the banks. Like, holy shit. Dope. You could really tell just like going around those turns and like how the car would like literally dip into the turn sometimes. Like, so beautiful. Cool. But I was trying to think of some way to get dip into, but I couldn't do it. So Ferrari had another big fuck up this week. A couple of fuck ups really. Despite obviously the most recent one is this new livery that they've released, but in the race, once again, couldn't have a flawless race. Sainz kind of bumped into Lewis on the lap 1, turn 1, which my heart was in my throat, but that's not the mess up I'm talking about because that happens. The mess up was another bad pit stop. You want to explain what happened? Because not that one, but it was that one that affected Red Bull too. And then the next one, a guy almost got killed. So go ahead.
So Ferrari and Sainz and Perez pit at the same time, and Sainz he had an unsafe release. Was the unsafe release the same time he ran over the gun?
I thought it was, but it was actually the next one.
I thought I got confused.
I just watched the highlights before. I'm glad I did because I thought it was the same one, but it was like lap 50 or something.
So the first lap or the first stop, one of the Ferrari guys left the fucking bolt gun like just out behind him, which I mean, if you look at it, it's actually not that far out. Like it's not like he threw it, but yeah, as you don't realize how tight those pit spaces are, and and when you see the drivers turning out, how close they are to those guys, and if they're even like a step out, you're fucked. So Perez fucking runs over the gun, doesn't cause him really any damage to my knowledge, at least, but it completely destroyed the gun. I don't think that the stewards investigated that, but I don't think they.
Yeah, I don't think they gauged anything, but I mean, I think
maybe
the
a fine.
reason the gun was sitting there was because, and I don't know if that's the man to blame, but someone forgot to take out the back left tire. So the gun was left there because they were going to retrieve the tire, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So how on earth does a Formula One pit crew forget a tire? Like, there's 4 tires and they're all labeled. How do you forget a tire?
That's been in this sport the longest.
The guy goes to put it on, then he has to drop his gun to get the tire, and then Perez runs over the gun, which yeah, it was like could have popped a tire or something. That could have been real bad, but
oh my god, yeah.
And then on top of it, it was a 12-second pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, insane. Like, what?
It caused his car to bounce like pretty significantly. Like, I mean, not to cause damage, or I mean, potentially, you never know. The cars are super fragile, but to an extent, I guess. But and then on the second stop, Sainz had an unsafe release. Who almost slammed into him? I think
it was Alonso.
Yeah, it was one of the Alpines.
I think so. Yeah, and maybe yeah. Because I think was that when Russell was behind him and he was like, "Oh, that was an unsafe release." No, that was to Norris. Anyways, whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I think it was to Alonso, the Sainz one.
Yeah, Alonso had to slam on his brakes.
In front of him. And Sainz said he was something about avoiding a McLaren mechanic. He's like, if I didn't do that, he would have lost his life or something like that. But I don't really know what he was talking about. So I probably shouldn't even have brought it up because I was kind of talking out of my ass. I just heard the quote. But
right.
Yeah, either way, it's like the definition of a unsafe release. Like I think it's Alonso's coming in and he just zooms right in front of him. Like, you can't do that.
So did they give him the green light or did he just go?
I'd imagine they would have had to give him the green light.
So then I wouldn't say it's on Sainz then. I mean, he still he got a penalty, didn't he?
Yeah.
He got that dropped him down. Yeah.
5 place.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I completely forgot about that.
5 seconds, which cost him. Yeah.
I think he got what, P9? I'm looking. I have the results right here.
He was right behind
8th.
Lewis, right?
P8. Yeah.
So from P5 to P8.
From 10 points to 4 points. So that's 6 lost points for Ferrari.
Yeah, not good. Not good. So yeah, Ferrari, tough race. I mean, Charles kind of brought it back together. He had a pretty good race. It's good to see him on the podium, I guess. But would have rather have been Lewis. What else do we have? We didn't really have. I mean, it was a very good race. There's a lot of like Kevin Magnussen going off was kind of cool. He saved it. There's got like Mick Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel had a good little battle.
That was awesome to see.
Overall, like it was a good Zandvoort, good Dutch Grand Prix. Couple interesting things in quali. First, there was the idiot that threw the flare on the track, which like just the dumbest thing you could do was throwing a flare on the track. And then we found out that it wasn't even a fan. It was a guy that was hired to do security for the event. And he did it with like a stupid grin on his face. Like he was proud of himself. Like, oh, look what I did. Like,
in my uniform.
Yeah.
And my lanyard.
Idiot. One of the most stupid things. And then, yeah, like, I don't know, pretty good quality. But Perez spinning out another conspiracy theory thing. It was a tough weekend for Lewis and Mercedes fans because there was quality where the Mercs were looking pretty good, and then I think they probably still would have maybe gotten best third and fourth instead of fifth and fourth and fifth, maybe second. I don't think Lewis was going to catch Max's time, but Perez spinning out on the last turn and stopping everyone from behind from continuing their last laps in the quali was a little disappointing, but it was a good, overall, I'd say, good weekend. Anything else that came up? I mean, Max is just dominating, getting this season. He's a few off the record now. I think there's obviously more races, but I think he can pass Michael Schumacher's record if he gets like 3 more wins. So.
I think that's 100% going to happen because Monza's favor the Red Bull car because there's a lot of straight line speed at that track. But for the Netherlands, the only thing of note that I wanted to sort of bring up was I think it was really interesting how nobody had any idea how good the hard tires would be this year there. Literally nobody knew. And I mean, then the Mercedes threw them on and suddenly they're setting you just saw Lewis fastest lap. I think even Russell got a fastest lap at some point. Like, I just wonder how different the race would have been if if Merck had imagine if they had started on the hard or maybe went from soft to hard
and just done that one stop.
Done that one stop. I don't know if that would have been possible. I mean, the safety cars, they fuck all that up, but I don't know. I feel like Mercedes was the only one that really took advantage of that. And I was really shocked when they put them both back on the mediums on that last pit stop. And then they didn't switch it. But I don't know. I know he wanted softs at the end, but
yeah, it's weird with the hards. I know there's different, what can be a hard tire in one race can be technically a medium in another because there's different compounds or whatever. But a few races ago, I forget which one it was, the hards were literally unusable. Putting them on was Ferrari made the mistake of, after knowing everyone that hards wasn't working, they went to hards and they just got passed. So some races hards are unusable. This race they obviously were quite beneficial. So it's kind of strange how there's such a difference in the tires in every race, but
it's super interesting. I'm trying to remember what race that was. I feel like it was earlier in the season, like Australia or something, but I feel it's not Australia, but
I think it was maybe Hungary or
yeah.
I don't know.
That
was
a
few weeks ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
It all kind of blends together at this point.
It's also interesting that the Pirelli tire, the three different, pretty much their main three options, none of them included the hards. So
yeah,
just shows that, I mean, you never know. If anybody in the top 10 could have started on the hards, you never know. It could have been a completely different strategy. So it's a little disappointing, but I think the hard tire brought Merck back into the game for sure. They gave them so much speed. So yeah, it's really, really cool. I love the little, when the best option is not what the main strategies are, when even none of the teams get it right and then they figure it out. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, having to kind of adjust on the fly to and that's what made the difference between Red Bull and Mercedes and Ferrari is that usually Red Bull and Mercedes make those right calls on the fly. Ferrari will be well, no, before the race we had this plan, which kind of makes the Mercedes thing more disappointing this week, as they did kind of mess up the strategy. But again, George just kind of made his own. If you watch the thing, he was coming into the pits and they were telling him to stay out, and then he's oh, I'm switching tires. They're okay, box. But yeah, in terms of Max, he's probably gonna win. Monza sets up for Red Bull, and then Brazil it'll probably win as well. So that's two, and then maybe Japan. I think Singapore is the only track realistically that sets up well for Mercedes going forwards. But you never know. Anything could happen. It's
a battle for P2 at this point.
Yeah, so that's what I was just pulling up is right now, I'm not even going to mention Max. He is over a 100-point lead, but Perez and Leclerc tied for second, and then 13 points. This is insane. George Russell is only 13 points behind second place. He has no wins this season. He's only 13 points behind second. That's
just the consistency.
Crazy. And then Sainz right behind him. So there's 26 points between second and fifth. So that'll be something very interesting. And then Lewis is a little further back, 27 back or 17 back of Sainz. So he could even So the battle for second is going to be interesting to watch the rest of the way. And then let's look at the constructors. Red Bull is 511. Holy shit.
God damn.
But yeah, Mercedes is now still, I guess. They were 30 points back last week, right? So 30 points back still.
Yeah. Ferrari with only 4 wins this season. That is pathetic. That is so pathetic. Mercedes with 1 less podium than Ferrari this season. 12 versus 13. That's pretty wild.
That is wild. It is wild. We also had we had some confirmation
oh yes.
on the driver's market, but it just kind of spurned even more speculation. Confirmation to speculation. So yeah, Piastri, the worst kept secret, Piastri confirmed at McLaren. Obviously we knew Danny would be out. Apparently Piastri said that he knew 2 months ago, which there's quotes literally from Danny more recently, or now it'd be like 2.5 months ago, more recently than that, saying like, I'm still I'm focused on staying here next year and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, so it's kind of weird, but.
Bro, Zach Brown liked that, and then he liked that, and then slid Oscar the contract.
It's like, now's the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a tough look. But then Danny said that he did know, so I don't know. Like, who knows? But either way, Danny.
I don't believe that. I love Daniel, but I don't believe that.
No, he's just being nice, I guess. But there was a thing that, because Piastri's Australian too, so, I mean, I guess Danny, being the nice guy he is, he made sure Piastri knew, like, no hard feelings between you. Has nothing to do with, like, it's not Piastri's fault. I mean, he did spurn an Alpine, but like, he's just doing what's best for his career. So it's not, there's no hard feelings there. So that's nice that Danny did that. But I guess I can tie that into. There's also a video. It's hard to kind of tell because it's during like I think it's during the pit walk. But I'm gonna put it in the video. Danny and Checo were talking, and it's very loud in the background. But there's like a brief moment of like where you can kind of hear Danny's talking, and he says, take a, like you can hear him say in the middle of a sentence, take a year off and come back in 2024. So it sounds like you're saying like, yeah, the plan is to take a year off and come back in 2024. So like, and that's Danny saying it. So yeah, that's kind of sad. But realistically, I think if he takes a year off, like he probably won't be able to come back. But I don't know, unless he signs on like a reserve driver and then like Toto promises him a spot back. I don't know.
No, that'll never happen. I was gonna say the exact same thing. If he takes a year off, he's never coming back. And I saw another article where he sort of like, I don't know, he like entertained the idea of being a team's reserve driver, and I'm like, damn, bro, that is like so sad. But I mean, you look at his points this season, he's only got like 19 points. Not great, not good at all. It's very disappointing. I mean, Lando's got 82 points, and yeah, he's sitting at 19. That is, I mean, yeah. To be fair though, McLaren, I mean, it's it's business. You got to do what you got to do. It sucks, but from a business standpoint, I understand. I don't think if they gave Daniel 2023 that he would get the car enough to put in enough results next year, but. I don't know. They're being kind of good sports about it. It's really funny that for Monza, they just released like a huge new like collection of Daniel Ricciardo merch. So like that confused people a little bit. All the comments were like, they've got to get rid of this shit before next year. They're trying to sell it, but at least he got his money, and hopefully I'm still in support of him going to fucking Williams or Haas. I mean, that's better than nothing. Kevin Magnussen, they're about the same age. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Like, if he's gonna be getting like, what place did he get this weekend? Like 17th or something. Like, if he's gonna be getting 17th place, if you get 17th in a Williams, people are gonna be like, hey, it was a pretty good drive for Daniel. Yeah. 17th in a McLaren. So it's all perspective. I mean, it's gonna be kind of sad no matter what. Like, if he leaves and goes and does like the Alonso and just kind of drives a bunch of different things next year, sees what he wants to do, that'd be kind of cool, but it would also just be sad not to have him around.
Yeah.
If he's a reserve driver, that's going to be sad. But we'll get to have him a lot on the broadcast at least. And then if he goes to, Williams or Haas, could be sad. It could be like, I don't know, maybe he refines his passion. Like, I don't know. Even Horner said like he's not the same Danny that he was at Red Bull. And he always says like the car just isn't right for him. And I've seen videos that explain why it doesn't fit his driving style, but like, I don't know. After a certain point, you either gotta change your driving style or something. Like, I don't know. It's just all around, all in all, just disappointing.
Yeah, I know that's easier said than done, but it's just unfortunate. I really do hope that we get to see Daniel drive in Vegas though, because that would be such a bummer if he's not there next year. I mean, I'm sure he'll be there, but not driving. Right. But
yeah, he'll be there.
Kick out Latifi. Get fucking Ricardo in there, or get put Daniel in Mick's seat. Everybody's speaking of Haas. I've been seeing lots of comments and posts on Twitter talking about Mick Schumacher, saying like, why are they talking about getting rid of Mick? Get rid of Kevin. Mick has been performing better than Kevin. I mean, that is completely debatable, but Kevin is signed for next year. Mick is not.
Yeah, I mean, haven't even considered like between the two of them. I mean, I have to admit I'm surprised that I think we've discussed it before, but I'm surprised that they're even discussing the idea of getting rid of Mick, and it seems like it's more than discussing. It seems like it's done pretty much at this point because he's already canceled his like Ferrari partnership, so to speak. So it looks like he's looking elsewhere. I think I could actually see him going to Williams. That kind of seems like more of a natural fit. But I don't know, because Gasly,
Mick and Albon, I'd love that.
Yeah, like that'd be a cool young team, and that seems like Williams is supposed to be sort of that team now, even though they have historically they were good. But yeah, I thought obviously Ocon wants Mick to go to Alpine, but that's another point we have is that it was basically, I think Helmut Marko kind of let the beans slip on the broadcast by he basically said Gasly to Alpine is done, and so yeah. That's interesting, 2 Frenchmen, but I didn't know this. I guess maybe maybe it's just I'd heard it and it went in one ear at the other. But they talked about also that obviously Gasly and Ocon are both French, but apparently like going back to karting in their childhood days, like they do not like each other. They
don't get on.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I don't know. I believe that's who they were talking about. Maybe it was 2 other people, but yeah.
I feel like I've heard that too. I mean that could be interesting that they don't get on. I like that. I think that might be the biggest shock to me because if you go like maybe 4 or 5 episodes back, I for sure said there's no fucking way Gasly's going to Alpine. No fucking way. But it's happening. And I mean, it's thanks to your boy, Colton Herta. That's a whole other discussion that we can have because there's a huge debate that's been going on about the super license points and if IndyCar was the way that if they did the points the same way that like F2 does. I mean, there's just so much debate. They're trying to get him in at AlphaTauri, and there's an interview with him saying that he's like completely taken off guard by this. I mean, when you talk to him about it in your interview that you did with him, you can watch that on our TikTok, Harder Soft F1, but that you did with him, he's pretty much said that he had that it was definitely something that he, was interested in, but not something that he saw like as an immediate, thing that he was going to jump into. But it is possible he could fucking be driving for AlphaTauri in 2023 or 2024, which is just insane.
Crazy. It's sort of like, like when I spoke to him, it was something that even I was like in my head, like this is someone that could, in a few years maybe drive an F1. Mm-hmm. It didn't seem like a pressing like next year he's going to be in F1, or else I would have probably tried to ask some more questions. But that's his name just sort of came up. Not out of nowhere, but it was just one of the names among like 10, 15 names, and that was just like shot right up to the top of the list. And Red Bull, I think, is the ones that are kind of putting fuel on that fire because obviously AlphaTauri is their like farm team basically. And in that sense, I'm glad for Gasly that he's getting out of there because he's kind of just stuck there. Because they're obviously Red Bull's never going to take him back. So I guess like bringing up Herta as a potential, like, no offense to Yuki, but he's never going to drive for Red Bull. So, getting in like a young, and Herta does have sort of that like, kind of like that aggressive driving style and like, I don't know, he just doesn't seem like someone that's going to be like pushed around. So that would suit like when Checo ends up leaving, he would be the perfect guy to come in and be Max's like, Max can kind of, help him along and be in his understudy. And so that would be really cool. It would kind of hurt my heart because, obviously as I spoke to Colton, I want him to be one of my favorite drivers. Once Lewis drives, he was potentially going to be my new favorite driver. But if he goes to Red Bull, that's going to be real tough for me. Real tough. I don't know what I'm going to do. But, I would love to see him in F1 next year. So that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like there's just – so it's Gasly probably to Alpine, maybe Herta at AlphaTauri. Mick Schumacher probably out. Latifi probably out. I think
maybe, maybe not though.
Stay. Maybe not.
Latifi could be here.
Which he was like what 2-3 seconds off making it to Q2.
Yeah, horrible.
He's nowhere near, and I would hope that they move on from him, and like Lance Stroll makes him look like Lance Stroll looks like a really good driver when you compare him to Latifi.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, there's a couple spots open, and then I don't know. Do you think like I think Zhou Guanyu will stay at Alfa Romeo, but I'm not sure if Yuki Tsunoda. I don't think he has a contract past this year. So that could be another one. I don't know. There's lots of stuff still to go. Yeah, it's as you check. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't remember. But this week,
Yuki Sonoda, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's signed for next year. That's what I'm seeing here. I'm pretty sure. Okay. No, I'm wrong. No, AlphaTauri has not signed. There's not confirmation for either drivers for 2023. Okay. So I was wrong about that.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's still some shakeups that could happen because none of this is even confirmed. Like, it does seem like once things start getting enough smoke, there's fire in F1. Like, we knew Herta or Piastri. Everyone knew that was happening for a while. It's like last year, everyone knew Russell was going to Mercedes, but they're waiting to get Bottas a seat. Like, usually you kind of know what's going to happen. So it does seem like the Alpine Gasly thing is going to happen, but the rest of it, like, I don't think that Herta situation is by any means solidified, especially because, like you said, there's that super license thing, which is a little bit over our heads, I think. But basically, yeah, you need to get enough points to earn a super license. You can't just pay your way into F1 completely. So that's not.
Yeah.
But then there's the argument, he's won like 7 IndyCar races. He's won a bunch of other things. So
he deserves it.
They can figure that out. And yeah.
I think it's honestly brilliant if Red Bull is able to pull it off. Yeah. I mean,
I do too.
The American market is the most expanding market for F1, obviously. So I think to sign an American driver would be like, I mean, that pretty much is going to make Red Bull like America's team, like there. I mean, over Haas, Haas doesn't even have an American driver, but if you put a motherfucking American driver in a F1 car, bro, that's history. I mean, it's been a long time. I'm going to look that up after we move on. But
just cucking Andretti too, because that was Andretti's plan. We're gonna come in, we're gonna have an American driver, we're gonna be America's team, everyone's gonna love us.
Too late.
And Red Bull is like, no, we're just gonna take him, we're gonna put him on our minor league team, and then he's gonna win multiple championships with Max Verstappen.
I think the last F1 driver might have been Mario Andretti. I think that could. Is he even? Wait, another.
I would have guessed he was Italian, but. Maybe he was born.
No, this is stupid. This is incorrect. I apologize for my. Oh wait, yeah. No, he is American.
Okay.
Technically.
Yeah, it could be like maybe his dad.
He's Italian American, so they're Italian, but they're American citizens. So there's not. I don't think there's ever been like a red-blooded, red, white, and blue American in an F1 car. Hell no.
Sure, at some point there must have been, but yeah, maybe not like
not recently,
definitely not recently, but
no,
yeah, so that would be great for it's great for the sport, and like Herta does seem to have the makeup of someone that would do well in F1, and it's like the right path as well to go into AlphaTauri. Not a ton of pressure there because like I think last year they had a really good year, but if you come in next year, like this year they've been pretty shit, like they've been a real disappointment. So it's it is a lot of like kind of perspective in F1, like we were talking about with Danny. Like if you finish 17th in a Williams, that's good. If you finish 17th in a McLaren, that's shit. So if you go into a team that's kind of on coming off a down year and you exceed those expectations, then it's like, oh hey, and then maybe Checo does a few more years at Red Bull, leaves, Herta comes in. That sounds like a good future plan, especially with the American thing. So
absolutely,
yeah. But I guess anything else on driver moves?
I don't think so. I guess we're just gonna have to see. I mean, it's possible that they could get the super license change done before next year. Yeah. I'm just curious when we're going to get, AlphaTauri's announcements on who's driving and Haas and Williams, because we know K-Mag is going to be with Haas, but we don't know anybody else. And we know Aston Martin, of course, is going to be Fernando and Stroll. Yeah, Albon signed.
Yeah,
right?
They did that they did that like we're making a major announcement. On Twitter, and then it was just they re-signed Albon. So
Albon will be there, and then we just have the two seats the seat from Williams and then Haas. So and then both of AlphaTauri. So I don't know. Gasly to Alpine is that's so mental to me. I'm so excited to see that because I know Pierre has been just chomping at the bit to get out, and I mean I think the Alpine is like the fourth best car this year. So if they can keep that momentum going. Good for him.
Yeah, I think like just looking at how well Alonso has been doing the last, like pretty much since the break. Like, I guess money talks, but at this point in his career, like he might be making a mistake leaving Alpine to go to Aston Martin. Like, Alpine car is looking pretty good. So I think that's why I was hoping Danny would go there so he could have a chance again in his old car that he drove pretty well in. But yeah, I mean, it's good. I'm glad for Gasly because I do like him, and I mean, you obviously like him because you took him as your third pick in this year's draft.
I like you, Pierre, but I so regret that decision. I regret it so much.
Yeah. But this week we've got Monza, one of the best tracks, one of the best fan experiences, one of the best weeks on the calendar. Obviously, it's Ferrari's home race. I'm very, very interested to see how the fans react to Ferrari. If they don't have a clean race, it's gonna be bad. But just yeah. I mean, they're obviously gonna get cheers because it's their home team, but I wouldn't be surprised they're gonna get their fair share of boos too. And that car doesn't look great, and I don't know. It's just setting up for not the best week.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much confirmed that they've choked away both championships. So I think the only thing that we can hope for, just to get a little bit of Ferrari like momentum, or just honestly just to get them, they just need a win. I think if it's Charles or if it's Carlos, they just need a W this weekend, because that would be so heartbreaking. If neither Ferrari drivers are on the podium, then it is like, then we may see some drastic changes. Like fucking Leclerc may walk. Like it, like obviously I'm being dramatic, but it is like so vital, I think, to the teams for the rest of their season for them to do well here, because they need it. And after Leclerc, fucking up at the other Italian track, it's so ever present, I'm sure, for them. But yeah, I was watching back the 2019 Monza highlights, and oh my God, Leclerc, like that win is one of the most legendary F1 wins. Like, and it's one of my favorite Crofty like announcements. It is so good, and it was right after. I'm pretty sure it was right after Antoine passed away, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, because he passed away in Spa, and then Charles won in Spa, and then he won in Monza, and that's what Crofty says. It is like, it gives me chills. It is, and these like Mercedes threw everything they had, and then of course Bottas and Lewis got podium too. It's just so awesome. I favored Charles of course, but if either Ferrari drivers get a win, I'm so okay with that. At this point, Max has won the championship, so as a Max fan, I don't want Max to win. I just don't. I do not.
Yeah, I want to kind of delay the official winning of the championship as long as possible.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, remember last year, Danny won here, but that's also partially because Max and Lewis crashed out.
Yeah.
But one of the more exciting races of the year last year. It is usually a pretty good race. I mean, there's a bit of fear here that it'll be like Spa where Max just runs away with it, because there is like some long straights, some very long straights, but there's also some bendies in there. So I don't know. We'll see. Just hope for another good race. Like pretty much every race this year has at least had something. Even Spa, like even though Max ran through the field, he started from way back, so it was still interesting, right? So yeah. So I'm just pulling up the times here. Pretty much again, we got the same times. Friday practice 1 8 a.m. practice 2 11 a.m. Saturday practice 3 7 a.m. qualifying 10 a.m. And then Sunday, September 11th, big day for you guys in the U.S. there.
Yeah.
Race day, 9 a.m.
Race day. Getting up
9 a.m.
Let's get up at 9:11 on race day.
Yeah, the race goes from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock on Sunday, September 11th.
That is okay. Interesting. Well, I'm excited. It's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm still just taken aback that it's possible that Max could be 100% confirmed as the world champion by the Japanese GP. So that would leave us with 4 weekends where it's just in the bag, and we know without a shadow of a doubt that it's Max. I mean, we kind of are already living in that reality, but it's nice to have like that sliver of hope that there could still be a challenge. But God, if he wins this weekend, then it's going to probably be a really fucking boring and low morale rest of the season for the rest of the teams.
Winning ugly. Keep coming back to that. Yeah.
It's gotten funnier every time.
It's eventually, just keep saying it till you get the laugh. All right. Well, I mean, Lewis still be rise.
Still he
Got
rises.
a new Lewis helmet right here.
Oh yes.
So we need
to
win.
Show that off, since you.
Well, it looks like I'm probably gonna have to eat this at the end of the year.
Oh, the pumpernickel.
Got this. So it's hard with the light. Hand behind it. Lewis Hamilton.
2022.
It's got my tattoo right there. Still be rise. So yeah.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So you gotta get some. Once Max wins his back-to-back title, you can get some new merch. And
Yes.
Just quickly before we sign off, in the Haas League this week, you got 49 points. I got 53, so I've upped my gap a little more. Get that passport ready, buddy. I'm up to 58 points.
Oh.
58.
Dude, that's unbelievable. With all of Max's wins, and he's on my team, I'm still so far behind.
It would have been more if Sainz didn't have that penalty.
Oh yeah, thank God. Honestly, thank God.
Yeah, so you need a Charles win this week, or you need a Max Charles 1-2, basically.
That would be amazing. Week. And then just to, throw Gasly in the mix there too. Just Charles, Max, and Gasly top.
It would be nice to see someone else get up there on the podium or win for a change. Lewis Hamilton or someone else like we got last year. So yeah, we'll just hope to get in some. This is one of the best, for lack of a better term, first turns of a race. Like I love that little double chicane or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so that's where Max almost murdered Lewis last year.
Yeah.
And then didn't even look once to see if he was okay. Just walked right across the track. That was another thing.
Tensions are high. And that picture is
that's crazy that
picture is iconic with the wheel on top of his head. So fucking cool.
Yeah, that was thank God for the halo. But yeah, it's crazy to think that where we were last year, that it was just like everything was peaking. It was still like, wow, there's so much left of the year. Like there's so much, and now it's like, season's
almost over.
It's over. Like Max has won. Let's just hope for good races. It's crazy the difference. Like
I know.
But hey, every race is still exciting, still worth getting up for, and we love it. So
yeah.
I think that's just about it. I mean, I'm going to predict a Max win this week, but I'm going to hope for Charles, obviously hope for Lewis, but it doesn't seem like a Mercedes track. So yeah, let's just hope for something interesting to happen, I guess.
Same for me.
Yeah. All right. I think that about does it for this week.
Yes. Good episode.
That was fun. So yeah, everyone tune into the race. Come back next week. Let us know your thoughts. Please subscribe, rate us 5 stars, all that good stuff. Give us a couple thumbs up on the YouTubes.
Please do.
Yeah, I think that's it for me. Adrian, any last thoughts?
That's all. Thank you all for watching or listening.